Hello, my name is Jeff Slinkle. Welcome to this AHECU e-learning, Emotional Intelligence, Applying Emotional Intelligence in the Workplace. Thank you for taking the time to invest. I'm sure that you'll find today's training session will be valuable and I believe could be life-changing. Let me start out first with a question. What do you think? People's emotions at work affect their productivity, their ability to stay motivated, their ability to make decisions, their ability to handle difficult conversations with coworkers or patients or vendors. What do you think? Like me, I'm sure that you probably thought to yourself, absolutely. Evidence and research in the area of emotional intelligence does support the fact that our emotions do affect our productivity, our motivation, all kinds of areas related to our jobs. They also, as you know, affect us personally in our family life, in our lives outside of work. So today's topic is really one I'm excited about and one I'm also have been a student of for a long time. And I hope that you will, as a result of your investment today, be excited enough to develop your own emotional intelligence to greater heights and take this as an opportunity to start small and grow over time. Let me first start out and identify what our objectives are for today. I'm going to define emotional intelligence. I'm going to identify areas where high emotional intelligence positively impacts business. We're going to look at an explanation of 2 primary emotional intelligence competencies and the 4 emotional intelligence skills. I'm going to list several strategies for personally improving emotional intelligence behavior. And lastly, you'll be able to recognize positive emotional intelligence behaviors through real-life examples. This is a topic, emotional intelligence, that has received lots of research and lots of press and has been in the literature and leadership literature since, you know, the 90s. And I'm really curious, and hopefully you'll be too. Let's take an opportunity to see what the average person thinks about or knows about emotional intelligence. Hi, excuse me. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you tell us what emotional intelligence is?
Not a clue. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for your time. Can you tell us what emotional intelligence is?
Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I want to think about this a minute. Wait a minute.
Is that a yes? No. Can you please tell us what emotional intelligence is?
Emotional intelligence. That's a good question.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Emotionally intelligent is what you're seeing right now.
Good answer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Can you tell us what emotional intelligence is?
Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Oh, that's when you love someone and you know it. And they know it.
Can you together tell us what emotional intelligence is? Can you please tell us what emotional intelligence is?
Ooh. I have to think about that for a minute.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that the ability to tune into your feelings?
Good. What else?
Understand your feelings?
Awesome.
Maybe communicate with other people? Communicate your feelings with other people?
Good.
As well as interpreting their emotions?
Very, very good. So you're familiar with this concept?
I'm not sure. Is that right?
Yes. Very good. Good answer. You have some familiarity. Thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, those folks provided us their perspective and their understanding on the concept of emotional intelligence. Let me define what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and understand emotions, yours and those of the people around you, and the skill to use that awareness to effectively manage yourself and your relationships with others. Daniel Goleman, back in 1998, wrote an article, What Makes a Great Leader, in Harvard Business Review, and it was one of the most popular sought-after articles and continues to be researched and looked at and read today. And in his article, he stated that emotional intelligence is more than 85% of what makes star performers great leaders. And emotional intelligence are those skills and behaviors that affect positive business arenas and results. And here are the areas that I'd like to highlight for you that he highlighted way back in 1998 in his article that still hold true today. Personal productivity, career success, team performance, motivation, that's personal as well as leading people as a manager or supervisor, difficult interactions, customer satisfaction, time management, and stress reduction. This is a very important topic. It's a very interesting, researched area, and throughout today, my goal is to help you understand all the different behaviors that you can learn. When we look at the whole person from the perspective of the psychological research and data and information that's really known out there, we can look at a Venn diagram, which is 3 circles, and you've seen a diagram like this overlaid, that establish a relationship between 3 important areas that I'll call the whole person. We all have an IQ. Psychologists would say that by the age of 15 or 16, your IQ has been established. And it's a number. The Wechsler Intelligence Scale assigns us a number. Maybe you've taken that test, maybe you heard of that test, but it gives us a number, and the reality is that most of us are painfully average. We're right in the middle, somewhere around 105 to 115 or 20, in that area. And then there are some outliers that are of higher intelligence, and there are some folks that are on the other end of that spectrum that are in the lower range of intelligence. Whatever, you have this IQ, which is your ability to learn. Throughout the course of your life, you'll learn more information. You will become smarter in your position, in your work, but your ability to learn information, your IQ, has pretty much been established early on in your career. The second circle in the diagram is personality. We all have a personality. I don't know about you, there's several different assessments. You know, there's the Myers-Briggs, there's the DISC, there are a myriad of assessment instruments out there in the professional world that assess different perspectives and different behavioral elements of personality. You know, I'm familiar with both Myers-Briggs and the DISC. You know, one of the dimensions on both of those is something that is known as introversion or extroversion. So you know that you are, you know, an extrovert, you like people, you're social, you engage in conversations freely, you talk to people you don't know well, or you're more introverted, you're more introspective, you're less apt to strike up a conversation with someone you don't know well. When you come into a room of folks, you all know this continuum. So we have that, and again, psychologists would say that for the most part our personality is developed very early in life. Barring major traumatic event or experience, it's going to stay about the same. You might develop and change a little bit, but you're going to be pretty much the person your personality is said you are early on. The last area is EQ, which is the abbreviation for emotional intelligence. Now, the good news here is that emotional intelligence is an area that you can develop over the course of your life and become more effective in. And I share that to show you that wherever you're at in terms of your emotional intelligence skills, you can gain more skill, be more effective, be more personally self-aware, have better relationships because of your ability, as I defined earlier, to be aware of your emotions, the emotions of others, and how you manage those. What I'd like to do now is to share with you, define and describe the 2 competencies that make up emotional intelligence. I'd like to start first with personal competence. Now, personal competence is how you handle yourself. This is an area that we will be looking at some specific behaviors and and understanding what this really means. And later on in this program, I'll be talking about some actual behaviors or go more in depth into the behaviors. But under the personal competence is personal awareness. When we're talking about emotional intelligence, we're talking about your ability to understand, know, and appreciate your emotions and what's going on with you at any given time. So people that are very good at personal awareness under this competency, when they become angry, upset, frustrated, they know that they are. They identify that for themselves. They may even use that in their communication with somebody else. And they are able to be productive still in interactions and not allow those emotions to take them hostage and hijack them in terms of their behavior. Because the reality is, as we look at these competencies, we all experience emotions or feelings. And the feelings then affect our thinking and then ultimately our behavior. So understanding and being personally aware of these emotions is very, very helpful. What it also means is understanding your tendencies. It's knowing that people that are a certain type frustrate you, so you know this and you've got a contingency plan to handle that when you're in a situation with a person like that. Someone's being disrespectful, a patient, a customer, a co-worker, whomever, you know that that's a trigger for you or a hot button, so to speak, and you, because of that awareness or this personal awareness, you understand that, identify that, and then operate and behave in a manner that's productive. Many people, in my opinion, fail here because, and you've seen this in life a lot, I'm sure, they don't make a connection between a feeling and their behavior. Somebody's anxious about having to do something at work, you're there, you sense that, you offer to help them, and they snap at you. They say something and you go, wow, and you're thinking, I was just trying to help, and they're obviously anxious and they're not making that connection clearly enough to know that it affects their behavior. So personal awareness is a big area. The other area under this competence is self-management. And this is all the ways that we are able to manage ourselves when we are feeling something and it is driving and potentially can drive our behavior. If you're really, really frustrated, what do you do? What can you do to talk yourself down, be aware of the reason why that you're frustrated, and really still continue to act productively? People that do this well with high emotional intelligence, when they are angry, upset, or frustrated with whomever, it's a difficult patient, difficult coworker, difficult person. They are able to identify this as a difficult person. I'm very upset about this situation. Why me? Why now? Why today? Is this really happening? And they manage all that emotion. They self-manage and they are productive. They keep the lines of communication open. They act professionally. They engage in solutions and really are able to manage. And we'll talk about throughout this program the many different things, tools and tactics and techniques to do this. But I just want you to understand what this behavior looks like and sounds like underneath personal competence. The next level is social competence. And social competence is how we interact with others, how we appreciate others that we are in contact with daily, regularly, or even in our jobs. That one time, one episode interaction. And social competence starts with social awareness. And people with high emotional intelligence that are really good in this competency, they are aware of the people they are interacting with. They sense, they empathize with them, they appreciate their position, their situation, and quite frankly, how they are experiencing or feeling emotions or stress or anger or anxiety. In healthcare, we deal with patients and families and other healthcare providers that when we're under stress, all of us have difficulty sometimes maintaining the highest level of professionalism. It's a challenge, and people that are socially aware of others appreciate that a person's behavior, somebody that might be acting difficult, that underneath that what's really fueling that behavior is maybe fear. It's a patient who's out of control, sick, a family member that's really stressed about their loved one. Socially aware folks, they know the pulse of a room. As a leader, if you're leading a team, or you're leading a group, or you're facilitating some project, people that have high emotional intelligence in the arena of social competence, particularly social awareness, they can sense out in the sea of folks, this group they need a break, this group is frustrated, this group is anxious, therefore I need to do X, Y, or Z to help them or this situation. So social awareness. And the last one, which is a product of all of these, is relationship management. And folks with high emotional intelligence manage relationships well. They are good at really truly understanding how their behavior impacts other people. When I'm really stressed, I get quiet, or I get verbal, or I run around my office area, or whatever it is. But I appreciate that when I do that, it upsets the apple cart. It impacts others negatively. It makes other people stress. Conversely, very positively, I have a job to lead people, lead my coworkers, lead this family or patient to success, lead a team, and I can influence them positively to help them to collaborate, to work together, to create win-win solutions and favorable results. So using your understanding of the pulse of a group or an individual or our customer, a patient, a family member, whomever, a physician, wherever you work in a healthcare industry or in life, and managing that relationship. When I'm really stressed or frustrated and I have to manage a relationship, I'm able to do that well because I can manage myself. I've instituted some of the techniques and tricks and tips that we'll talk about to not sabotage a relationship because of what I'm feeling and how it's making me act, or how I'm acting because of what I'm feeling or thinking. So again, 2 levels, personal competence and social competence. And as you're thinking about how you would rate yourself in these 4 areas under these 2 competence, I would encourage you at the end of your time and your investment in this program to really start with the personal arena as you're building an action plan for yourself. You can't really do the others well because they kind of build a little bit. You really have to understand, I'm feeling this because of that I need to manage myself, and then I can spawn out and be more effective in the social arena. So hopefully I've helped you understand what these 2 competences are and the 4 areas of skills that you can identify and develop for yourself. And I thank you for listening to this piece here, and as we continue on, I will identify and define more actual behaviors that you can adopt to be more successful and ultimately more emotionally intelligent.
Jeff, I'd like to take the opportunity to ask you some questions about what we've learned today.
Okay.
You've talked about 2 competencies, personal competence and social competence.
Yes.
Where does one begin to develop in these areas?
Well, that's a good question. Probably the best starting point would be to work on the personal competency arena and start with self-awareness and build from self-awareness, because the other area, social competence, deals with being aware of other people in the environment and their feelings and responses. So you first have to be in charge of and aware of your own emotions before you really are much good at appreciating and understanding somebody else's emotions.
So tell us specifically what is important to do with personal competence.
Well, specifically, personal competence is about being conscious of one's emotions. It's being aware of the fact that you're experiencing an emotion at the moment you're experiencing it, and how it makes you feel. You know, being in touch with it physically. If you're anxious, is it a feeling in your gut? Is it a tension in your body? But making the connection between that I'm having a feeling, I feel it in my body, and then going a little bit deeper and trying to understand why am I having that feeling. And feelings are in just a handful of areas: happy, sad, angry, anxious, creative, surprise. So identifying the feeling and then trying to understand why you're currently having. So it really boils down to, the root of the feeling. But we've all had the experience when we've had a conversation with somebody that wasn't connected to their feeling. They're obviously angry or upset or tired or something, and you ask them how they're doing, and they kind of shoot back, or they're snappy or curt with you, and you say to yourself, "Wow, something's going on." They're not aware of that. So it's really the self-awareness is being connected to what I'm feeling. And it's important to know yourself under stress. We're in healthcare, which is fast-moving, dealing with difficult situations, difficult people. No matter what your job is, there are stressful experiences. So really knowing how you respond under stress, knowing when you are under stress, and being connected enough to know, wow, I'm getting a really bad headache and my neck is tense. I'm under stress. And trying to make that connection and that feeling, because we know that the feelings affect thinking, and feelings affect thinking, and then that affects behavior. So all of us have acted in certain ways or had certain thoughts based on emotions, and being self-aware is very important. On the other side of the self-awareness is the self-management. And it's those tools and techniques for managing your emotions. When you are angry or upset, there's this thing in your research that talks about surface acting. Right now, I am upset at a coworker who has done something that has been disrespectful. And I'm going to manage that. I'm not going to let that, spill over and hijack my interaction with them. I'm going to manage it right here. I'm not going to use an inappropriate tone or language or interaction style. I'm just going to manage it here, and I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm trying to be productive and professional, and I'm going to just keep control. The other layer is the deeper acting. That's, wow, that person upset me, and I'm upset and angry or frustrated with them because they were disrespectful, unkind, didn't listen to me. So there's those two levels, and there's skills in both of those. And you've seen people that don't manage a feeling well. They yell back, they argue back, they lose their cool, they pop their top. And you've seen people that have managed that, and there's that real skill set. That's that self-management. What do you do when you're under stress? What are the tools that you do to manage that during the day? Some folks are in critical areas with high stress because of the patient problems and challenges, ICU, ED, wherever in our healthcare environment. So what do you do? I can count to 10. I can manage my breathing. If I'm becoming anxious and upset, I can breathe through my nose, hold it for a count, breathe out, properly breathe to relax. I can count to 10. That's another method of managing myself. The other part, besides the stress, is staying motivated is a big self-management area that folks can work on and improve on. How do you stay? We're in healthcare. We have worthwhile work. What makes it worthwhile? There's times when you're challenged to carry out your job. I was coming here today and I ran across a coworker that works with our patients and helps them when there's a challenge. They're upset, they're angry, and she was out doing some self-management. She had mentioned that during the course of the day, when she feels that she's had enough stress, had enough challenging interactions, that she knows that she has to take 5, kind of regroup, relax, and then go back at it. That's self-management, which is a real skill.
Now, how does one develop the skills under social competence?
Okay, social competence, that's kind of the second layer. Self-awareness and self-management of the areas that you are the foundation. And social competence would be the first area or large bucket would be social awareness. That's as a person that interacts each and every day with others, I'm present moment focused. I'm looking at my patients or my customers and I'm trying to figure out what are they experiencing emotionally? What are they feeling? Are they happy? Are they happy they've just had a child? And I can share in that with them. Are they upset because they got some challenging news? I can be there with them. But I have to be aware of that. I have to focus on them. I have to get out of my own head. I have to look at them. And how do I do that? I observe body language. Traveling around in my position here, and you do the same, is I often see people that are visitors and they're lost. And it's only by observing their body language, whether they're in our buildings or they're out in our parking lots, you know they haven't been here by the way they carry themselves. And it's an opportunity to be a better customer service provider, provide excellent service by saying, can I help you? Looks to me like that person over there needs help. You know, walking up to them saying, my name is, can I offer some assistance? I've noticed that you're looking at the signs, there's someplace I can help you find. So really looking outside of yourself, being aware. The pulse of the room, if you're in a group, if I'm working with a group, you know, how's the energy level? We all attend meetings, so I can be socially aware by understanding like, our whole group's together today, the energy level's low. I can flip it to self-awareness, my energy level's low. It's Friday, I'm tired, I've had a long week. You know, what do I have to do to change that for myself? And how can I influence the other people by being socially aware of where they're at? The last area is relationship management, which is huge. All of us have to manage relationships at work, in life, personally, professionally, with patients, with customers, with vendors. And the people that are highly emotionally intelligent in this area, they are very good at developing trusting relationships. If you're one that people knows, listens, offers feedback, can be counted on, then you've developed trust. Then you have, you know, higher emotional intelligence because you value the trusting relationship. You know that it's important to listen to people. You give them time. You show that you care by listening. You ask questions. You have lots of questions when you don't understand their position or their frustration or their experience. If you have a customer that's upset, you're aware that they're upset. You offer to help, and some people that do this well, they apologize. I'm sorry that was your experience today. My name is, how can I help you? They really become a trustworthy, solution-focused helper, and they are the best providers of service because of relationship. If you're a manager or a supervisor or a leader, you know where you want your team to go. You show them, you role model that, and you become one that helps them get there. And you offer good feedback, and you receive feedback. People that are really good at managing relationships, they're folks that can handle, you know, whatever you want to call it, critical feedback, constructive criticism. They're ones that can handle that and use it for learning and building and developing, but also give it well, give feedback well. They're focused on people that they want to develop, and they really manage those relationships. Highly emotionally intelligent folks can have the tough conversations. They can have the conversation with a coworker when there's something that needs to be said or addressed. Good leaders can have the feedback sessions with employees that are doing things that they should be doing differently or not at all. They have a way of having that conversation. They script it out in their mind. They practice it. The other thing about good relationship managers I found is that they go into situations and they rehearse in their mind. I'm giving some challenging news to a coworker, an employee, a family member. I expect that they might react this way. So because of that, I have a way that I want to respond. and here's what how I'm going to respond. So there's some practice going on there. So those are just some of the more action-specific behaviors that one can take under all four of these arenas.
Well, thank you. That was a lot of good action-oriented information.
You're welcome.
What final thoughts would you like to leave us with?
Well, this is a journey. I've been a student of emotional intelligence since the latter 90s, when Daniel Goleman's book came out, dealing with emotional intelligence. I've been in training sessions myself many a times. I've read many things, and I think I've become more emotionally intelligent because I intentionally try to practice some of these things. There's 4 areas that we've just outlined, and I've shown you earlier when we did our description at the flip chart. You can't, take each of those areas at once. You just have to be very intentional and work in an area. But if I can leave you with a couple strategies, first and foremost, is be aware of emotions. Be able to connect what you're feeling, when you're feeling it, and then take the second step and why. Why am I feeling this way? And because I'm feeling this way, what is it that I need to do to manage or use this information constructively? The second thing is to develop a way of monitoring your self-talk. Gosh, I have a difficult patient. Why is this patient being so unruly to me? And really looking at that and saying, well, this patient's being difficult. It's not me. It's their situation. It's their challenge. It's not that they have a personal attack on me. It's just that they're stressed. So I have to be really good at managing my emotions to help them. The other thing is, what is the information does the emotion give you? If you're feeling upset at somebody, the values question. What value are they violating? If someone's not listening to you and you really value and respect good communication, then you're making that connection. I'm really upset at them because they are not listening. And so if I know that, then I can modulate my feeling and be more productive. Reflection is another important thing. One of the things I've learned in my own training is when a conversation doesn't go how you want it to go, is have a reflection period. I had a conversation with somebody, it was challenging, I didn't get the results I wanted. What could I do differently the next time? Kind of evaluating and critiquing yourself so that you can learn. Make all situations learning situations so that you can raise your emotional intelligence. And the last thing in this strategy is to really, how can I constructively respond better? Obviously, you don't want to lose your cool. You don't want to be angry and upset and have that spilling over. Those are obvious things. But the key is how do you manage that? And those are some of those techniques under self-management. Some other strategies, seek first in a tough conversation is to understand somebody. Don't try to get your point across, but really focus on them. The magic bullet in tough conversations sometimes is listening to the other side first, asking them good questions. There's an old formula, the IWB formula. It's, I was upset yesterday when you forgot to do what I asked you, and because of that, I feel, these emotions still today. Can we have a conversation about that? It's a formula where you can really constructively have a conversation and really get through the challenging emotion and have some productive outcome in there. Another strategy, or it's not really a strategy, but thank someone when you have a situation that was emotionally charged in some way. Thank them for working through it with you. Thank a patient for calming down. Thank a family member for, accepting the solution. You're building that relationship. Thank a coworker for having the courage to confront you about some behavior. That's a tough one, but it builds relationships, and that's that whole relationship arena. The last bit of strategy I would like to share is whatever your hot buttons are, whatever your challenging people or situations are, list them. Identify what they are. People that finger point are a hot button. People that don't listen are whatever they are. Those are a couple of mine. When you list them out, then identify what you would like to do positively in response when you have that. That's like an if-then statement. Write a goal. If I have a person that's difficult because of how they're talking to me, then I will be extra patient, listen more, ask more questions. When you have your challenges, those hot buttons, write these if-then statements. So when you have that next chance to build on that, you'll have a pre-planned response because you've already practiced and thought about it. Those are a few things. I know it's probably more than we can bite off in any one short period of time, but that's a good question, and that's really how I'd kind of like to wrap up some of this information.
Well, we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
As a nurse manager and a leader in the operating room setting, we have to make sure that we exhibit emotional intelligence by making sure that we're in tune with not only our feelings, but with the feelings of the patients, the feelings of the families, and the physician. There's a heightened awareness for anxiety. I think a lot of us can recognize that patients and families can be very anxious in the operating room setting. And so with that being said, being in tune to emotions is critically important for the best patient outcomes.
As a nurse in the emergency room, I'm often faced with difficult situations. Emotional intelligence is extremely important to me. It helps me in several ways. First, it helps me recognize what patients are feeling and the things they're going through, and I'm able to offer reassurance based on those feelings. Secondly, it helps me recognize my own feelings and how I'm going to deal with them. I can think them through and then make better decisions.
When I think of emotional intelligence, especially in situations with the job that I do, which is phlebotomy, we have children and even adults who come in who are very anxious and have a fear of needles. Usually a good idea in these situations is to talk to people and get their mind in a different place. Whether in this adult who is into sports, you can talk to them about sports, or a child. You can even get down on a child's level to talk about cartoons or being out of school for the summer. And after getting their mind into a better place and soothing them, then we can proceed with doing the phlebotomy work or whatever procedure a person might be doing. You'll have that person calm and able to take this a little better.
Let me share a little bit with you about emotional intelligence in my position. I work in a healthcare setting where I deal with patient and family complaints, and it's my job to help resolve those complaints. I deal with people who are frustrated, anxious, angry, and sometimes hostile. It's important for me to be able to read their nonverbal cues, to figure out what's going on with them, and to help them calm down their manner so we can help resolve their problems. So that's important for me to help people feel relaxed and calm when they are upset. Also, dealing with those types of difficult situations, it can be stressful for me, so I find myself doing things to help me remain healthy by exercising and spending time with my family, so when I come to work, I can be the best person that I can be when doing this position.